How do you find this combination of heartfulness and adhesives?
I think it's an super synergy. This Heartfulness leadership Adizes leadership program has become also part of our induction program. As people come in new into the organization, they get the feel of what we are talking about, like you said, the language, the philosophy. So the heartful practices brings them to look a little bit inward. Also work on self development. I think that is the key, and we try to do something at an organizational level. But if that what's happening at the organizational level, if it doesn't connect to the individual, then it doesn't work. So this actually establishes that connection between the two. The ideal outcome, if you may, would be a sustainable culture, which is believed and practiced by the leadership and also the people, and the culture of mutual trust and respect.
Hello there. Today it's my privilege to introduce a guest, another very dear friend and a brother, Mr. Vipul Ray, Managing Director of Elmex Controls. And as per other conversations, I will actually put the onus of his introduction to him only so that he can do some justice to what Elmex and Vipul are doing. Vipul, over to you.
Thanks, Harpreet. Always a pleasure to talk to you. So I like to introduce myself as a second generation entrepreneur. Elmex was started with by my father, almost 1963. Uh, just a typical engineering startup, one room startup. And from there, Elmex is now a nationally run brand for connectors and internationally present in more than 45 countries. So that's the core of our business, manufacturing electrical and electronics products. On the personal front, I'm I'm an engineer, mechanical engineer. Studied in the U.S., finished my master's there. Worked with 3M for a couple of years. Got my MBA and then joined family business in 2002. So I guess that's about me so far.
Lovely. And so Vipul and his team in Elmex have been exponents and practitioners of the Heartful Adizes methodology. So Vipul, how did this journey start? I mean, firstly, what prompted you to contact us, to be in touch, to be of some value add to you?
So I think with many things in life, a pleasant coincidences is how it all got started. And I came across being a heartfulness practitioner, though I didn't know about Odysseus, but I came across Odysseus as also being part of the heartful offerings, or closely associated. And that's how I started exploring a little bit on the website. Then I got in touch with you. The reason for approaching, I guess, was twofold. One is to see that what an institute with such kind of philosophical and also practicing heartfulness. So, in that sense, that kind of bent of mind or thought process has some to offer to an organization. Another is a stage that we were at Elmex. So, I was looking for somebody who can hold my hand to transition from a family business and to a more professionally managed business, and help us in the growth phase. So these were the two triggers. One, just curiosity of what it is would offer in this context, and then the LMX need at that point in time.
So in the past interventions of some time, various workshops, various get-togethers that we have had with you, your team, uh, several of them have attended the Heartful Adizes Leadership Foundation program as well, where change management and the culture of mutual trust and respect are the core deliverables, and how focus on implementation is also there, and understanding the roles, the styles, and all the conflicts that happen in an organization. So, in this journey, in this exposure to the Heartful Adizes core methodologies, one or two things that have stood out for you, any one or two things that resonated with you.
So I think the first big bang was when the whole team, or our leadership team, about 30 did the first workshop of SYNDAG at Kanha Shantiwa, uh, for getting everybody. Typically these things are done in resorts or such kind of places, but this is a resort of a different kind, and I think the kind of ambience and in the atmosphere, so the team really got together with a big bang. I think that was one quick, I won't say takeaway, but a very great starting point for the whole Heartful Adizes journey for us. And I think a lot of individually people also brought in back a lot of things for them during this workshop that we had, the first one. So I think that was the first takeaway, if you may. And then later on, as the journey has progressed, uh, two things that come to my mind, which really is helping, is one is the whole focus on execution and working as teams. And with that, the background of the styles, the PAI styles. We are a growing organization, and one of the things that I had discussed with the Odysseus team is that I want more and more of the organizational leadership and the upcoming leadership to start taking decisions, start taking responsibility, and actually own their work. And I think this methodology has really helped. So I would say that the second takeaway was involvement of a lot of people, a larger group, in a systematic way, where we kept on building trust and also solving problems. So the idea of getting these things out and forming teams and resolving issues, I think that has energized the organization. So these are the two takeaways, and I can go on if you want. So,
This is good enough. But just for a bit of a context, typically we've been talking about our interventions, which are the Heartful Adizes Leadership Foundation, which is a learning and development workshop. Several of Elmex leaders, Vipul's team, have attended that workshop. But in the case of Elmex and Vipul, the context is slightly different, because here the organization has contracted us for a complete organizational transformation. So, as Vipul said in the introduction, from transition from an owner led to a professional led company. So, how can the owner still be in control yet professionally led, so that the day to day involvement is not as onerous as it was at one point of time? So that's a journey. It's a series of workshops. The foundations are laid by the workshop of the Heartful Adizes Leadership Foundation, and that's why you hear the terminology of PAEI, styles, roles. You would have heard the terminology of CAPI in other podcasts that we have done. So that's just the context. So from doing an individual one-off learning and development, which is what Heartful Adizes Leadership Foundation is the foundation workshop, to actually transitioning to an organizational culture, to a organizational transformation. That's the other side of the piece of Heartful Institute of Leadership and Adizes in India. So that's the context. But thanks, Vipul. That was very well put. So the first workshop was the SYNDAG, which is a synergistic diagnosis. So 25, 30 people get together and they diagnose themselves on what could be overcome, where are the gaps, and then prioritize and agree on the prioritization, which is quite magical in many cases. And subsequently, what Vipul was mentioning was how complementary teams can take over and focus on implementation, getting the job done. Decision making is one aspect which is very significant, but implementation is perhaps more key, and the program is more implementation focused. So, Vipul, now we've been at it with Elmex for close to 2 years. Uh, in this time, there have been changes. There have been changes in the markets, in the clients, in the technology, in the way we at Elmex also want to evolve. So there've been so many changes, and there's always uncertainty. There's uncertainty, which change in any case brings in. How have the practices, the methodologies, the interventions from Heartful Adizes Any example that you can think of? Anyone where in complex times, in uncertainty, somehow the result came through and it was delivered to optimal level?
So I think one thing that is working for us is the monthly POC meetings, uh, where the leadership comes together, and we not only look at what is in our focus. So two things are working in this. One is that the focus is a little more narrower and more laser sharp, if you may. So this meetings kind of remain. Keep on aligning the business goals and priorities. So that's one thing that's happening in the. And the second is it's also a forum for people to kind of look at challenges, or other opportunities that may have come along. Specifically, we have had, I mean, in any context, business has been good, business has been growing, but we have had two challenges. One is the growth challenge. We're a multi-product, multi SKUs, running into hundreds and thousands, and shipping more than few 100,000 connectors a day. So that kind of complexity brings its challenges when we grow, especially with reference to scalability in terms of quantity, quality, and consistency in terms of delivery. And this is where one of the initiatives that we had taken, for example, aligning our growth requirements in terms of the capacity and the requirement from the market. That initiative has really paid off, and is helping us in these things. The other instance that I can think about is, we have introduced quite a bit of new products in the market, a lot of new technologies in the connection domain, what we typically call as the screwless, where you don't have to, use a screwdriver. But then, and again, with those entering into mature markets, Europe, and likewise. So that had certain challenges for us. But the design team, the quality team, and the marketing, the way we have come together and kind of overcome that, I think that also is, when the customer recognizes that. So these kind of things we have been able to deal. One is, like I said, the growth challenges, and also in terms of the complexity with the new products. And this has happened with less stress, and more, in a more planned, I won't say planned, but in a structured manner, to deal with such things.
It's almost like a magic wand, isn't it? That you can achieve what you want to achieve with less stress and more alignment, with better structures, better planning, and the team takes over. So that's really almost magical. And I know that hopefully we'll free up Vipul's time so that he can plan something bigger and larger, and that'll happen once the team takes over more and more of what his job is. In fact, we joke around. We say, "We how about making Vipul redundant in Elmex?" So when will that happen? So that Elmex can look at something else, because obviously the entrepreneurial mindset is there coming from Vipul. But
Yes, and that day.
yes, we'll celebrate. We will celebrate that. Um, Vipul, another thing, I mean, again, what Vipul was mentioning was the pork. Pork is somewhere, it's like the right brain where we take a pause as an organization once a month, half a day, and just reflect where we are. Are we in the right direction? Do we need to make any course correction? So it's just an alignment again of the leadership team. It's very useful because it doesn't get cluttered with the day-to-day running of the company, which what happens for 29 and a half days, but half day a month, we do that. And like we have the Heartful Adizes Leadership Foundation workshop, that is the basis, but it leads on to the diagnostics, it leads to team problem solving, it leads to the POCs, which is the half a day a month kind of a routine where you take a pause. It then leads to maybe setting a direction for the future. We call it mission action plan. How do we go forward? How do we align ourselves to go forward? Then we structure ourselves to deliver that. So there's a restructure of the organization. And then how do we measure that structure and so on? The steps ahead of the foundation workshops are pretty well grounded, well tested, and proven globally. let's move to a different side of it, Vipul, because we are not the typical business leadership program and consulting program. Whilst there are methodologies which help tremendously with that, I think the addition of the heartfulness practices, which is really for the self development, which is managing your own self, because even God can't change us, as they say, we have to change ourselves, we have to take our steps. How do you find this combination of heartfulness and adhesives? I mean, what value, additional value, if any, has it brought to you?
I think it's an super synergy, if that's the word that I can. And there are two, three reasons why I think like. First is just for your information, this Heartfulness leadership Adizes leadership program has become also part of our induction program. So whenever somebody joins in new, we do as a group here, and when there is uh, a program happening, then people travel out of here to be exposed. So there's also something that as people come in new into the organization, they get the feel of what we are talking about, like you said, the language, the philosophy. So that's just additional information. But so when I say synergy, at the end of the day, organization interventions or whatever do is going to be a bit of change management. It has to be a part of change management. And the team actually recognizes that this is something that goes hand in hand. So the heartful practices brings them to look a little bit inward, also work on self development. I think that is the key, and we try to do something at an organizational level. But if that what's happening at the organizational level, if it doesn't connect to the individual, then it doesn't work. So this actually establishes that connection between the two. Uh, and a lot of people at Elmex now regularly sit for a pause or a quiet time in the morning, once in every other Saturday. And people have their own ways of connecting with themselves. It's not necessarily only heartfulness, and that's great. But that uh, they see the value in it, and this also understand that the organization values that. I think both is important, um, and I think that's where the synergy really starts to help.
Isn't that wonderful? I think that's brilliant. I think it creates the awareness for someone to do something for their own selves to become better. And it's not necessary that they continue with heartfulness. At least it's created the awareness. Heartfulness is a simple set of practices. If they like it, they can keep it. If not, at least do something else. But it definitely do something for self development. And as has been said before, the Adizes motto is creating a culture of mutual trust and respect in an organization so that the best happens naturally. Sustainable growth happens naturally. And the heartfulness methodology, really, if practiced daily, brings brings within yourself an environment of self-trust and self-respect, which allows the best of me to be available for my day, whether it's my work or my family or whatever else it is. Wherever else I am, the best of me is available. So yeah, it's quite a potent combo. So yes, Vipul, thanks. All the joinees to the Heartful Adizes Leadership Program from Elmex, they really add value. They add value because they're exposed to some other practices and they bring that richness. And of course, every individual brings their own experience, their own learnings, and shares there. Uh, any Have you taken any direct feedback from the ones who have come to Kana Shantivanam to attend the Heartful Adizes Leadership Program? And if so, what was the sense? What is the feel that you picked up from them?
So I think the feedback that immediate feedback that comes is it was wonderful, and so that's the first feedback that we've got, that this is wonderful. And secondly is that, like I said, because the organization is also doing this, so the other uh, feedback that we get is great. Now we understand what we are trying to do. Right. So I think those are the two. But just being at Kana Shantivanam and going through this program also thankful. A lot of them have that, they could experience some bit of heartfulness as part of the program. I think that's also one of the consistent feedback that we wouldn't have tried otherwise. Uh, so a lot of positive feedbacks, people coming in from the.
And once again, Kana Shantivanam, the venue, has its own quote unquote magic to this whole process. And in fact, even our other venues now in Chennai, and hopefully we'll add a venue in Valsad, where then in the Himalayas as well. So there's a lot of good plans with the Heartful Adizes programs. So let's see where that leads us. But now, taking one step back further, Vipul, and looking at the future, where do you see this headed? Where do you see the program headed with Elmex, and how do you think it will cascade or it will add value, or what else do you think are the possibilities going forward?
So I think right now we're in the journey of, kind of aligning some of our business processes, whether you call them structure or, like other things that we are doing. And that would be kind of what I started off saying, that, professionalizing the organization and getting into the succession mode. So that's the path that we are on. But in the future, I see, I mean, ideally, the leadership that comes out of this process will be able to, drive this in the true essence, uh, in terms of the culture that we develop. So the ideal outcome, if you may, would be a sustainable culture, which is believed and practiced by the leadership and also the people, and the culture of mutual trust and respect.
Perfect, perfect. And finally, Vipul, if I could ask you, what would be your advice to another friend, maybe not in the same business, maybe in the same business, a similar size, maybe bigger, somewhat smaller, uh, but wanting to leave a legacy, wanting to ensure that the organization survives the founder, in the sense it goes beyond, and maybe succession, as you mentioned, could be transitioning to professional management. What would be some nuggets of advice that you can give to them, apart from recommending Heartful Adizes program? So that I take for, that I put in my pocket and say, I, I, I think we have that privilege. But apart from that, what else would it be?
So something that one of my mentors said a few years back, in a very successful family run business, over three generations. And I've come across them as part of my EMA leadership. I was president of EMA, the Indian Electrical Electronics Manufacturing Association, about 4 years back. He said, it takes about 10 years to build succession. So the first thing that I would say is that, we have to start thinking early on this aspect, and it takes time to build that. So that's the first thing. Whatever method we choose, like you said, there are a lot of available ones. Adhesives being very good one, but recognizing that this transition or uh, this succession will take time to come in play. So I think first thing is to get started on this journey, and over the period that will change as it happens. And other thing I would say is that, uh, choose something that gels well with your culture. You know, the organization, the entrepreneur already has a feel of the kind of culture that they have. So the methodology or whatever approach should gel with that. I think that's important. Otherwise, the basic management techniques are going to be pretty much similar. The environment that the business faces is going to be dynamic, and you can't do much about it. We will deal with those challenges as it goes. But this is something that, and there is two reasons for it. One is it makes it more sustainable in the long term, and there is also an acceptability factor. So if something that resonates with the people in terms of their belief systems, is always easier to do and implement. So that's the maybe two or three things that I would share.
That's, isn't it fantastic? When you get into a marriage, they say if you're from similar cultural backgrounds, or you've got a similar upbringing, or your value systems are similar, there's a better chance of that marriage surviving or thriving, maybe. But if there's a gap there, at least you know what you're getting into. And I think that's very profound, actually, to be resonating with the values, the belief, or the culture that personally resonate with the owner founder, and the methodologies that you take in. And that is very good. And the other one was start in time, start early for succession. I think that's, again, very, very profound, because many think that succession is getting the right person in and, it'll all happen. It doesn't, because succession needs three things. Number one, the founder needs to be ready to let go. The second thing, the successor needs to be ready to take over. And the third thing, the organization must get ready for the succession transition. And each of this is an ocean in itself, depending on the context, depending on the individuals involved, depending on the business involved, and so much. And for us, it's always fascinating to work with founders and help them through this traverse through this journey, which allows the organization to stand on its own feet, much like your own child. You've reared up, and they reach a particular point. If the child is subsisting on the parent, even when they're 30, 40, something wrong. The child must stand on its own feet, and so like this, your organization must be able to sustain itself and deliver the values along with the values and the culture. So that's the meeting of minds and hearts.
In succession, it's not like one big thing, right? One big bang activity. It's a micro small succession. So whether it is teams, your individual teams, departments, functions. So it's a process. It's not an event. Uh, so that's how I look at it.
Perfect. And in my association with you, Vipul, I've seen you as a humane individual person, as a leader who is driven, but very beautifully balanced with the compassionate side of it. So there's a very nice balance. uh, what, according to you, are, maybe, again, you choose how many, one, two, three key leadership traits that will help an organization, that will help a leader transition into the future where we are today in the 21st century, with all this VUCA, BANI, whatever else we call it. What are the things that would you believe? What are the qualities that leadership must have in order to sustain in these times?
I think one is integrity. So so building trust is, I think, very important. A lot of people have a lot of opportunities to work wherever. So if the team sees you that way, or if you are in that position, I think it helps. So integrity is one thing that needs to be practiced and believed in, day in and day out. Otherwise, it's, in today's times, it's not possible to fake anything. So I think being honest and real is important. Second is, as the technology and things changes, we'll end up working with people who are like this, is smarter or don't know things differently, and to be able to converse with them and try to understand that perspective, and then align it with the organization's perspective. So I think that is key for, also for the leadership, since you get inputs from a lot of places, and also you want to have a team that is, maybe uh, a little more knowing than us. I mean, things are becoming extremely specialized, and typically leadership becomes a generalist and not a specialist. So to be able to work that bandwidth, I would say, is something that's important. And third, I think, is just being there. And I think if you are there for the organization, then things will fall in place. There is no, it's not, no super science or rocket science. Uh, that's natural, I think. So just being there for the organization and yourself.
Perfect, perfect. And I really wish, Vipul, that this Heartful Adizes intervention with Elmex plays its value add to whatever extent, small, little, which whatever may it be, because ultimately it's all dependent on the team. In the future, in the growth, in the vision that you have envisaged for Elmex to be a significant, even much more significant player than what it is now. Our very best wishes, and I must I convey to you that's a proud privilege for us all to be associated with you, with Elmex, with the team, and we look forward to this continued value addition mutually. So thank you once again, Vipul. You're the very best.
Likewise.